Hi everybody, it's Katrina. I hope you're staying safe and healthy. I wanted to talk today about something that is really concerning to me. And I was talking to a girl that I've known her whole life. I was there the day she was born. She has known me for 20 some odd years. I'm not going to give exact numbers, but 20 some odd years. She knows that I've never been racist. I've never said anything racist. I've never done anything racist. She can't give me one example of how I'm racist, except that I don't believe that in the Black Lives Matter movement. That I don't believe that the country is systematically racist, and that I don't believe that it's our job as white people to fix black people, because I think that's racist. I think black people are perfectly capable of fixing themselves. Crazy, isn't it? So, what really concerns me is how brainwashed the new generation is in thinking that hard work and responsibility and earning things and making good choices is evil. That it represents straight white male Christian people. And that you shouldn't have to do those things just to be successful. And that for some reason, because straight white male Christians, or I'll say Judeo-Christians, because apparently now they have a problem with Jewish people. I can't even keep up with how many people they hate. Because they're the successful people in this country, they're stealing from people who don't want to work hard and don't want to contribute, basically. And I've been talking about this, not on my page is pretty new, but I've been talking about it in general my whole life, where it started with, the participation trophies back in the day and the helicopter parenting and how we were teaching children that they don't actually have to work hard to get anything. And lots of people have been talking about this and how it was going to corrupt these children when they grow up, because they're going to think that they don't have to do anything, that they should just be given money because they were given trophies. Like, they didn't win, they didn't practice, they didn't do anything, but they went and they got a trophy, and that's the way it should be. And now they're Marxists, and they don't even know what that means. I guarantee you they've never read a book that Marx has published. They've never read anything on what Marxism and socialism actually is, but they're lining up in droves, burning buildings down in the name of Marxism, because that's what BLM is. It's a Marxist organization. And it's a Marxist organization saying that the people who have worked forever and have earned money and have earned things should just give things to people who haven't, because a long time ago, some of our ancestors, because some of our ancestors weren't even in the country when this is happening, but some of our ancestors were mean to some of their ancestors. Because again, we've had all kinds of immigration in the last 100 years, so it's not, you don't even know who's from what and when. But because of that, we should just give all our money to them. And then it goes even further, because they're not even fighting for just black people or people of color or people of minority status or anything. They think everybody should do this. I saw a meme the other day that said something about how there should be no billionaires anymore. that once you make your $999th million, all your extra money should just go to somebody else. And it amazes me how much they don't understand how money or the economy works, and how most people, first of all, don't have $1 billion like sitting in their bank. It's invested into companies. They own it. They have it from stocks and bonds and all kinds of other things, properties and different things. That's why they're worth that much. But even if that money was sitting in the bank, the money sitting in the bank is then used by other people like you and me to be able to borrow money from the bank so we can start our own businesses or buy our houses or buy our cars or buy whatever. So if there isn't the extra money sitting in the bank, if you're just giving all the money to people who need it for everyday expenses so that there's no money actually sitting in the bank, then there's no money in the bank for those of us who need it to borrow the money, because that's how it works. I don't know if you've ever seen It's a Wonderful Life, but they were, George owns the savings and loans, and they think it's going to close down, and so he goes in and says, I want all my money back, and he's like, I don't have your money. Your money's in his house, and his money's in your house, and that's how it works. The bank doesn't sit there with billions of dollars in their accounts. They lend everything out. Nowadays, it's all made up, pretend zeros and one numbers anyway. But the point is they don't just hoard the money. It goes out to pay for other things. And that's why you have to pay things back. And that's how banks make money, is they way too much interest, and I think banks gouge, but that's just my opinion. That's why you can go to different places. You can go to savings and loans, and you can go to credit unions, and thankfully there's other options. But yeah, that's how the economy works. And to say that anybody who's worked really hard to make lots of money should automatically give the money to me because I don't want to work really hard, it's like you're missing a piece. You're missing a piece of what it means to be human. And I'm really sad about this because I'm seeing the way the generations are going, and I'm seeing them becoming more suicidal, and I'm seeing them become more drug dependent, and I'm seeing them become just, they need their safe spaces. They can't handle anything anymore. And everybody is the enemy. Everybody. I mean, it's not like it was, the boomers, I'm air quoting, but I'm out of screen. The boomers that they hate are racist and sexist and this is and that, it's and every ist known to mankind. And they literally have no idea that the boomers were actually the hippies that were marching back in the day with Martin Luther King and with all the other people and with the women's lib movement. And they don't understand that it was the boomers who were the one that fought for civil rights. And they give credits to all these civil rights activists, like the one that just died. They give credit to all these civil rights activists, but not to the boomers who marched with them. And on top of that, now I'm finding out that places like California think that the Civil Rights Act is actually bad because you're not supposed to actually judge people by the content of the character. You're supposed to judge people by their race and sex and their identity, because you can only know, you have to give people credit for their identity, because apparently their identity means, I don't know what it means, to be honest with you. I have no idea. Because they're black, they went through something, but not everybody went through the same things as a black person. Because they're a woman, they went through something. They've been through something. But not everybody who's a woman has been through something. It has much more, your life identity has much more to do with the area that you live in, how much money you earn, or your parents earn, class structure, and where you grow up. I mean, people who grew up in the Northeast is obviously very different than someone who grows up in the South. Someone who grows up in California, very different than someone who grows up in New York. So those are the experiences. If you have two parents, if you have one parent, if you have 700 brothers and sisters, if you're an only child, those are the things that mean something. If you went to private school, if you went to public school, if you did vacations, if you had to work since you were 12, these are the things that make you who you are. But none of that has to do with race or gender. My brother and I both grew up in the same house. Obviously I'm a girl, he is a boy, and he was obsessed with money as a child. Alex P. Keaton was like his idol, and he worked all the time. He had a paper route like when he was 10, and he worked at the grocery store, and he worked there, and he worked there, and he ended up quitting high school, because of personal reasons with my father, but then ended up going back for his GED and getting his degree in economics and creating his own business, and he does really well. I thought money was needed to do the things that I want to do, and I like to do things, so when I wanted to do things, I babysat when I was a kid. Oh, I wanted to go to a thing. Let me put out for babysitting. I didn't put money as a focus, I put experience as a focus. I always had a job. I always worked my whole life. But it wasn't my priority. Not because I'm a girl, not because he's a boy, not because I'm black or white, not because of anything, just because of who we are in our own life experiences, in our own personalities. That's what makes us who we are. I think the fact that kids nowadays are being taught that they don't have to work for anything, that everything is about their identity, that there's a bad, evil system made up of bad, evil people who are specifically out to get them, and that the only way they're going to get saved is if they let certain people take over all of the government, because then they'll help get rid of those bad, evil people, is horrifying. Literally horrifying. Like they're being told that these bad group of people need to be disposed of. I'm air quoting again. These bad group of people need to be disposed of so that the world can be a happy place. And that the only way the world can be happy and that everybody can get what they want is if you dispose of white, straight, male, Judeo-Christians who do the work, because they're stopping everybody else from getting things. Now, hilariously about this, the people who make the most money in this country are not even white, they're Asians. So, I don't know how that breaks down, but Asians are not evil, apparently. Only white people. White people are systematically racist because we don't care about race. Most of us don't care about race. I was raised in the 70s and 80s, where it was right after, I was born like a decade after the Civil Rights Act. It was very clear. My father was very clear. I had friends of every nationality, every race, every religion. I was encouraged to talk to people about their differences. I had a friend growing up, two friends, they were a brother and a sister, but it was a family that were from Libya. I'm going to go with Libya. And it was this long, this is like 35, 40 years ago, so bear with me if I don't remember exacts. Their parents were from, and I used to ask them questions, because that's how you get to know people. I had a friend who was from India, and she used to tell me all about her time when she'd go visit her grandparents. She wasn't, again, parents. She'd go visit her grandparents in India. My brother ended up marrying a Filipino woman. I've had so many friends with so many different backgrounds. And what's amazing about it is that you don't not, you're not blind to it. Like they say colorblind. I'm not blind to it, but I don't care. That's what they mean when they say colorblind. It's interesting. You find out about it. But you know what I also do? I have friends that moved here from Oklahoma. And I say, oh, wow, what's that like? Because that's a difference. I have friends who are different religions. I remember when I moved from a small town in northern Massachusetts to like a suburb right outside of Boston that was super Jewish. I knew like 3 Jewish kids growing up. But when I moved there, I had like Jewish holidays off, which I was like, okay, sure. Nice. My dad said, you should go check out temple with one of them. That would be awesome for you to learn about that. Okay, it never happened just because she wasn't a big temple goer, but I was up for it. I had gone to a couple of my friends' churches over the years. Or different, not, I guess there were just Catholic churches and Protestant churches and different kinds of churches like that. The point is that, like, yes, you acknowledge other people's differences. You acknowledge other people's problems in life or successes in life, but you don't qualify them based on that. You don't discriminate against them based on that. You don't hate somebody because they're white, straight, male, Judeo-Christian, and have money, but like somebody because they're black, female, transgender, atheists. I was just trying to go the exact opposite. Like you just don't. You take person by person. And the fact that children, I know the girl I'm talking about is in her 20s, but to me, I'm in my 40s. It's a child. I was there literally the day she was born. That they're starting to hate people that they've known their whole lives who they know are not racist because they think they're racist, because they're being brainwashed into thinking identity is the most important thing, that everybody with a minority identity is owed something from someone else because the people who have the majority identity stole things, which it's like, I don't even understand. Like, I'm not saying move to another country. That's not what I'm saying. But like, if you go to another country and like, let's say you go to Japan, guess what? They're not white people that are in charge. They're not white. They're Japanese people. We have a majority white population here. And it's changing. It's changing rapidly. And as it changes, we're getting a lot more people of a lot more, all kinds of diversity in charge of all different kinds of things. And that's great. But like, you can't be mad at Japan because they have Japanese people in charge. That's not how it works. You can't be mad at Japan because they work their asses off to accomplish things either, because they have an identity that does that. They have a society, I should say, a society that does that, not an identity. I'm sure there's plenty of Japanese people who don't do. In fact, I know some Japanese people who don't. But like, they have a society that definitely encourages hard work. As, I don't know if you saw the Smithsonian article about black people, although it was all about white people. I don't really understand, but it said how it was like a white person thing to work hard because it comes from Judeo-Christian values, which, okay, I get it. Like, Protestant values were like work now, play later, absolutely. But the reason why that was because that's how success is formed. Like, okay, I'm Catholic, gonna just put that out there, but I also know that most of what is established in the Bible and is established as these stories are from people in charge adding things on and changing things and rearranging things to, it was political. There was edits done and translations done that fit their narrative. And they knew that the only way people were going to succeed was to work really hard. But now kids are being taught not to. They're being taught to not work hard and to blame anybody that does for stealing and for being evil and for being not human, basically. They're not human. They're being treated as if they're rats. Sound familiar? So I'm scared. I'm scared for this country. I'm scared for the future. I'm scared for the kids who are being taught this. They're being taught to hate. They won't have conversations. They won't listen to information. If you say anything that opposes their narrative, you're automatically shut down, blocked, canceled, called a racist. It doesn't matter. I don't think anyone should be taught hate. I don't think anybody should hate. My son takes karate, and I told him he had to work harder if he wanted to move up to that next level. And he said, I don't know if I want to move up to the next level because I don't want to fight. Even if there's a bully, I want to be nice to him. And I thought that was the sweetest thing in the world. And I was like, I get that, but this isn't about fighting. This is about training your body and your mind, and it's a martial arts thing. And so he was a little bit more into that. But like that's how I was raised. Like, talk to people, communicate, love thy neighbor. Don't hate, don't blame, and don't steal. I don't know why that's so hard. And taking things from people because they made the money and you didn't is stealing. And blaming and calling them evil because they have things and you don't is evil. Blaming things for other people's pasts is evil. Talk to people. Burning down the town is not going to accomplish anything. You want to make changes? Absolutely, there are changes that need to be made. I think the whole welfare system needs to be rebooted. I think the schools need to be rebooted. I think the police need to be rebooted. I think there needs to be a lot of changes that need to be done. But I don't think that needs to be done by burning down towns and cities, especially in minority areas that are being hurt the worst. If you want to help actual Black lives, start donating to those communities that are being burned down, not to a Marxist organization that hasn't given 1 cent to Black lives. Anyway, my time is running out here, and I'll make another video later. If you like what I have to say, like, subscribe, notifications, all the things you do on YouTube, and thank you. Stay safe out there.